Okay, I don't think I have to tell you who Ana Kasparian is. If you watch anything as far as media or news and stuff like that, her name comes up from time to time. She's part of the Young Turks, the Young Orcs. No, she's part of the Young Turks, and she's insufferable at times. In this case, I would say this is an insufferable moment. I'm going to play this video here from News Nation. This is she was on with Chris Cuomo, and she's talking about basically her position on Israel and their response to the Hamas attacks. It's so easy for people to say this. Like I try to stay in the middle. I'm going to just say it very quickly. Excuse me. I believe in the right for countries to defend themselves at almost any cost. If you're if I'm in a fight with somebody, I'm not going to be like, "Oh, I'm not going to use this method. I'm not going to use this method." If they're trying to kill me, I'm going to try and kill them too. So it's all methods, all anything is not off the table. But anyways, so in this case, I believe that, but I also believe that if there should be some, you should obviously look to not hit and kill civilians. So if a very strong force like the Israelis can do things to mitigate the loss of life for um, for civilians, then they should do it. Now, must they do it? I don't know. I don't. I don't know. It's easy for me to say over here, all the way across the water. I'm not going to protest either way. I'm just going to kind of stay out of it. But I do have opinions on it. I'm just not going to strongly exercise, especially without knowing all of the facts on all angles. And I don't think many people do. But someone like Anna Kasparian seems to have a real strong opinion on it when she probably doesn't have all those facts. So I'm just going to play this video and you can make up your mind as far as what you think. I think she's kind of a tool. But here we go.
Why do you believe that an exercise like what they did tonight and are frankly still doing right now is designed to take civilian life specifically?
The high civilian death toll, which is upward of 9,000 people at this point, 65 to 70% of which consist of civilian women, children, and elderly people. The fact that the IDF bombed the largest refugee camp in the Gaza Strip, not once, but twice. The second time following overwhelming international backlash. But when the most powerful country with the most powerful military co-signs on this brutality and the slaughter of innocent Palestinians in the Gaza Strip, of course Israel's going to go ahead and do it again. Why wouldn't they? We've got their back, so they can do whatever they want.
Does it matter what precipitated this event and that this is the worst hit
Fair
Israel
question.
has taken, they say, since the Holocaust? They lost the equivalent of what have been 50,000 people in this country, and that they have what would be the equivalent of 5,000, 6,000 of their people taken hostage, many likely not to be returned. Does that not matter in your analysis? Certainly, we did much worse than they've done thus far after 9/11.
Of course that matters. I have absolutely no problem with the IDF and the Israeli government specifically going after Hamas. What Hamas did on October 7th with
See, this is what pisses me off about her in that statement. Sure, it's real easy for you to say, oh, they can specifically go after Hamas. If Hamas is admittedly using civilians as shields, how do they go after just Hamas without hitting civilians at times? So they're supposed to say, no, we're not going to attack Hamas because they're hiding behind civilians. It makes zero sense. It's so easy to just point fingers from this position. What pisses me off about people like this is if this were to happen, like for example, he brings up a good point. Chris Cuomo brings up a good point about about it. He's mirroring September 11th. When that happened, there was none of this. It was so fringe. People saying no, no, no. You know what? We got to be careful. Don't go in there. Blah blah blah. It was so fringe. Realistically, people were like, yeah, damn right. Kill Americans, you die. So it's so easy for her to sit back and say, well, you don't have any chips in in the pot for you to just say, yeah, no, you can just not target civilians. Well, really hard to do that. Really hard to do that when that's what they're hiding behind. But let's continue.
With their disgusting terrorist attack should not only be condemned, they should face the consequences for that. But the leaders of Hamas, notably, are not residing in the Gaza Strip. They're in Qatar. And rather than maybe reaching out to the Qatari government to make a deal and bring those disgusting terrorists to justice, the Israeli government has decided that instead of that, they are going to engage in very clear retaliation, not just toward Hamas, but toward the Gazan people. And that is indicative.
Yeah, it might be retaliation. Yeah, I agree with that. It's probably a good part of that's retaliation. But you know what? Do you blame them? I'm pretty pissed off. I don't know if family members of mine or people I loved were taken hostage or killed, and plus everything that happened to Israelis. Yeah, I think I would be pretty pissed off too. So again, real easy to sit on your high horse there, Ana Kasparian, and talk about this kind of shit. That's her though. She's kind of she really is like she's kind of a con person, I think. She's sort of a grifter because she would I think she only supports this or she's only very vocal about this because that's her audience to say it. I think she would flip just as easily. She'd be on the other side. If suddenly it weren't popular to say that, she'd be on the other side. I find a lot of people like this are like that. But I think she's a fraud. And she says a lot of things that are true at times, and I can see her point. But in this case, it's like it's so easy to sit on this perch of hers and and talk about what the Israeli forces should and shouldn't do.
In the numbers that we are seeing, in the civilian casualties that have exploded day after day, and they will continue to increase.
Yeah.
They don't care about Palestinian civilians. I'm sick of the talking point regarding human shields.
Right.
What do you say they don't care? They have a missile system that shows that they care. They have the Iron Dome that shows that they actually care. They shoot missiles out of the air instead of just for years just going over there and decimating. So come on, man. I think the evidence shows that they're doing what they can to to try and limit as much casualties as they can. Considering also, and you're not even considering the fact of the high population density of the Gaza Strip. Like, come on, you could, you know, I could fart and 1,000 people are going to smell the fart. It's that populated over there.
Right.
Look, Hamas might use Palestinian civilians as human shields, but let's keep it real. It is the
Let's
IDF that
keep it
makes
real.
the decision to launch those airstrikes knowing full well that innocent people, the majority of which are children, are going to suffer the consequences of that. Either they're going to be injured terribly or they're going to die. And by the way, we should also note that refusing to allow fuel into the Gaza Strip, which the hospitals need in order to function, in order to operate, another indication that they're not really concerned about the Palestinian people.
Look,
they think they're subhuman and they're treating them as such.
You're ascribing opinions that I can't legitimize, right? That's not what they say when they're interviewed. That's not what they say when you're on the ground there. That's not what their polls show of how people feel there. Plurality, majority Israelis want a two-state solution. 20% of their population is Palestinian and or Arab. You look at the numbers in Palestine, to the extent that you can trust the polling, because it comes through Hamas like everything else, the plurality, majority there support Hamas. The people who attacked on October 7th were not just Hamas warriors in uniforms. There were civilians.
Let's pause for a second. You cannot, on one hand, claim that Hamas is a terrible dictatorial regime and they use these poor civilians as human shields, and then simultaneously, when it's convenient for you, say that, well, like, they love Hamas. The Palestinian people love this dictatorial terrorist regime.
What?
Maybe consider the fact that when you're being...
What are you talking about? You can't say that both aren't true. Yeah, they kind of are. See what I mean? This chick's insufferable. Oh, I'm almost finished with this video.
Ruled by a terrorist militant group, that speaking out against them might lead to your decapitation.
I agree. I just said to you, to the extent that you can trust it, because it comes through Hamas.
Defame Yeah. Do not defame the Palestinian people by
I'm,
making it appear as though they are overwhelmingly supportive of a
I'm
terrorist
telling
group.
you what
They
the
are not.
polls.
They
I'm
are
telling you what
victims
the
in this
polls show
situation.
with a qualification. Be careful about ascribing animus to me. I wouldn't be doing the segment if I had animus. We cover the suffering in Palestine every night.
Okay. Well, that's pretty much the end of this clip anyway. I don't know what happened there, but let's get off that. Uh,
Let's talk a little bit more
oh,
about
here we
this
go.
8-year-old little
Let's
girl
hit
that Robert
this.
had referenced, Emily Hand. A lot.
Love when they restart new ones. Yeah. So Ana Kasparian, she just wants to. The way I would look at her is she's a sensationalist. She is a grifter. She will say anything that she feels like she can get support on her side on the Young Turks there, and she's she's got to be the loud person in the room. I hate those kind of people. They want to talk over people. You can't say that. They're so emphatic about what they say. Yeah, because you know all of it. You've been over there on the ground. Sure, you haven't. She's kind of a goof. Anyways, so you can see her position on the Israel conflict. Now I wonder, now that we live in a great time right now where you say something and it's captured on camera on some type of media, um, platform or whatever, or social media platform, I should say. Now you can't unsay it. All you can do is try and spin and act. That's where gaslighting, the term gaslighting, kind of came from. It's like, you say something and then later go, oh, I never said that. Yeah, you sure did. But we'll see if she flips her script in some time, if the narrative flips or if the support flips the other way. And the very loud minority of people that are uh, against Israel defending itself, if they sort of quiet down, or the majority of people that are actually for that, pipe up. We'll see where she lands on that after that happens.